put on whatever pants fit and you just get out there and do your life. Experience and authenticity at this point in your life is your superpower. And I know many of you are not owning that in the way that you really could be. Welcome to Home After 50. I'm Julie Ford, and this is a show about reimagining what life can look like in this next chapter. Here we explore home, family, reinvention, and the evolving ways that women after 50 are shaping lives that are meaningful, grounded, and true. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome back to Home After 50. I have to share that I am in a very reflective moment right now. I just returned a few days ago from speaking at a conference for more than 300 women in real estate. It's the Rise Retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona, that is put on by Amy Gregory. She's a dear friend of mine now. I didn't know her a year ago. I only sort of knew of her, and she's just become a business inspiration to me and a friend. And I just have so much that I want to share with you about what happened there and what this experience has meant to me. And I want to start by saying that even though this was a conference for women in real estate, it was a business conference. And actually, you know, men could come, but they don't. It attracts women. It has a completely different vibe than any other real estate conference that I know of or have attended. It is so supportive, so collaborative, so inspiring. It's really the only real estate event of the year that I care to attend. And even though this is for real estate agents, what I have to say about it is not just for real estate agents. I really want to speak to you, the women over 50 or close to it, that listen to this podcast, because so many lessons that I've taken away from this experience can be applied to all of us. And I really see this as a collective permission slip to step into your leadership in your life, whatever that means for you, with all of the wisdom and experience that we bring to the table as women, you know, with decades of life behind us, hopefully some decades ahead of us. We just have so much to offer and so much to give, and also so many ways that we hold ourselves back. So last year, I attended Rise Retreat for the first time. When I went, and I'll share, maybe I'll link, I might be able to link my full Rise talk in the show notes for this episode. If I can do that, I will. But last year and so I shared some of this in that talk, but I'm just going to share this like a little bit more personally with you here. When I went last year to Rise Retreat, I had only ever met one woman in person who was in the room. And I really was at a critical moment in my business where I had left the team that I was running. I was starting all over again, but I had no idea what I was going to do. And what has happened in my business over the past year has been shocking to me. I think shocking to anyone who's paying attention. Just everything just took off in a direction that I never expected, and has been so exciting and honestly rewarding, just incredible to me. But when I was in that room, I was really not knowing what was in front of me business-wise. I was feeling very like, do I even belong here? There were, and I shared this from the stage, there were many, many groups of women gathering on the stage, you know, taking pictures together. They were like friends or masterminds, and I was feeling very left out. I found two women at the conference that also didn't know a lot of people. We hung out together. They were awesome. They're still my friends to this day. But I was feeling like, wow, like I would like to be more deeply a part of this community. And this year, returning, I am more deeply part of that community. I stayed in a house with, 13 women, and we hung out together the whole time. We were part of taking the pictures together on stage. And I just want that like for everybody. I want everyone at this moment in our lives, at this time in our lives, to really find our people, right? And find where we feel we belong. And if you're not feeling that, I would just like to encourage you that it is never too late to feel that. And it's also never too late to step into leadership in your life, to step into your own personal authority. And that applies in every area of your life, whether that's a business, whether that's in your own family, because let's face it, as women in our 50s and beyond, we are the center of our families. Oftentimes in the sandwich generation, between kids or young adult kids and aging parents, we're holding so much. And I know so many of you who listen to this podcast, like me, are either in or exploring multi-generational living. That is a whole other layer of leadership and care that you're taking of your family in whatever way you're doing it. Like that could be full-time, part-time. You could be doing it, all in one house together on a family compound. You could just be exploring, living close by, more, close by to one another. There's so many different ways that we all approach this stage of our lives, but it does involve a lot of taking a leadership role and stepping into our authority, our wisdom from a place of love and from a place of knowing that we can really hold a lot, but that we also need support in our people around us to hold us while we're holding that. There was a moment in my talk last week that I actually didn't plan where I said, I was speaking to the women in the room. There were over 300 people there. And I was speaking to the women in the room that I knew were probably like I had been at different points in my life where they were holding themselves back. And oftentimes for me, that's been about, life changes us in good ways and in ways that are challenging, right? Going through my 40s, losing my dad, going through perimenopause, gaining so much weight at that time. And I've lost some of that, but I'm not in the same body I was in when I was 30 years old. There's a lot that we sometimes look outside ourselves and compare ourselves to or hold ourselves back from because we just feel like we're not showing up exactly how we want to show up. And let's be honest, some of that is vanity. Some of that is self-consciousness. Some of that is about how we look or how we feel about how we look. And I just want to tell you that no one else cares. When I see, and please think about this for yourself, when you see a woman stepping into leadership, stepping into her own authority in like a loving, beautiful, expansive way, do you care what she looks like? Because I certainly don't. And yet there are so many of us walking around worried about how we look. And the brutal truth of that is that when we allow those kind of concerns to hold us back from making a bigger impact, from making a bigger contribution, we're actually really being self-absorbed when we're doing that. And I know that sounds terrible, right? I'm calling myself out here. Many years I avoided having a brand photo shoot because I didn't feel comfortable in my body. And believe me, I'm not saying this without empathy for how this feels because it's hard. It is hard. We live in a world that idolizes youth and thinness and beauty. And it's very hard to get that talk track and those expectations and those visuals out of our own minds and get out of our own way and just fully show up in whatever body we're in. And this is what I said from stage, whatever pants fit, right? Like put on whatever pants fit and go do your thing and show up. Because the truth is we just can't have the kind of impact on the world that we really have the potential to have and the desire to have if we're worried about what we look like or what size our pants are. I mean, I'm laughing about it, but if you've struggled with this yourself, you know the pain of this. And it doesn't even have to be your weight. It could be the lines on your face. It could be how like the gray hairs just don't behave the same way that your hair behaved when you were 30. There's so many things, right? The wrinkles. But when I said that at Rise Retreat last week, I cannot tell you how many women sought me out after my talk over the next 2 days, came up with tears in their eyes to talk to me and told me how much they needed to hear that. And it's wild, right? That it's still so pervasive in our culture, like at this point in history, that we all get sucked into like this messaging of how important it is, what we look like. And believe me, I'm not downgrading the good feeling that comes from feeling good in your body, feeling good in your skin, loving your clothes, loving your hair. Like that's fun. And there are benefits to that. It is easier to walk out into the world if you feel good in your own skin, but that doesn't have to look a certain way. And that doesn't have to be a certain weight or a certain size. So this has been a decades-long journey for me. And it's not that I don't ever think about those things anymore, but it's become easier the more I've done it. The more I've put myself out there in front of the camera, the more I've put myself on stages in front of people, being myself, showing up as I am now, the best version of who I am now. The easier it has become to not look outside and compare myself to others, but to really understand my own value and, quite frankly, get out of my own way. Because when we're in our heads about how we look, how we're coming across to others, we're not thinking actually about others. We're thinking about ourselves. And we really can't do the good work and make the incredible contributions that we can to the world if we're wrapped up in our thoughts about that. So it's my little pep talk to put on whatever pants fit, and you just get out there and do your life. Experience and authenticity at this point in your life is your superpower. And I know many of you are not owning that in the way that you really could be. And I know you know that, and I know it's painful sometimes to see the distance between what you know you're capable of and the way that you're showing up now. But I think we need to talk about this, which is why I'm talking about it. Because I think the more of us that talk about it and support each other and cheer each other on, the easier it's going to get for all of us to show up and make our contributions and do our good, rewarding work in this world, helping other people and realizing our own dreams and goals and ambitions. And I know that we can do that better together. So this was just a brief reflection on what it meant to me to go from feeling out of place and like I didn't belong 1 year ago in the exact same room. By the way, Rise Retreat this year was, in the same room, the same conference center that it was at last year. And to be back in that beautiful space among some of the same people, some new people, and feel like my relationship to all of it was so completely different because I put myself out there. And I trusted that other women were going to help lift me up and carry me with them. And they did. So I'm here to help lift you up and carry you with me. Please share this episode with someone who you think needs it. Or just re-listen to it if you need a little pep talk. I'm here for you. I so appreciate you tuning in. I'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode of Home After 50. If this episode resonated, please make sure you're following and subscribing so you never miss a thing. And you can find more resources at my website, juliford.com. See you next time.